All right, hello. I am Jacob R. Cologne, or JRC. I had this funny little action movie spoof intro planned out, but I'm in the middle of moving. I'm actually in my new bedroom now, and I just haven't had any time. Plus, I know what you all came here for. You came here to learn something, and I'd rather not waste anybody's time. So, that being said, if you want just a concise list of things you need to self publish, skip to this timestamp. For everyone else, if you want to get into the weeds, that's what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to go into lots of detail from beginning to end of how I self published my very first novel, Manhattan 24. So if you enjoy what you see, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, all that. And let's not waste any more time. I've gone over it before in my announcement video, and I could not be more proud and excited to finally share with you all the upcoming release of my very first novel, Manhattan 24. And in the documentary about my writing journey, The Four Passions, for me, it definitely all started in the third grade. But Manhattan 24 actually started as John Bison, and that was over 10 years ago. I had written other books and screenplays and teleplays in this 10 years, and I even have a novel that I'm really, really proud of and excited to share and release. But for that, I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't attempt to get that book traditionally published, or at least have an audience that would actually read it. So with that in mind, I decided to return to my early works, and I spent a couple of months with John Bison to rewrite it, revamp it, retitle it, and finally release it to the public, seeing this as an off-ramp where I can build my resume. This, combined with my work in comic books and in music and personal filmmaking, could officially get my foot in the door in the industry, hopefully. Okay, first things first, let's talk about AI. Now, AI is an incredibly powerful tool, incredibly useful, but I would never condone the use of it to create things like writing a chapter or even writing a sentence, because it doesn't actually create, it just rehashes. But you could be sure that I used it for grammar or spelling or whatever it was. If I wasn't sure, I would just paste it into ChatGPT and then ask if this makes sense or if it's grammatically correct. Then it would help me adjust, and I see no problem with that whatsoever, because I still use traditional tools like dictionary, Merriam-Webster, or a thesaurus like Word Hippo. Word Hippo is the best. Let it be known, Word Hippo, best thesaurus there is. ChatGPT was also vital in creating a plan, as was having a comprehensive playlist of YouTube videos and a bookmark folder of articles on self-publishing. I sort of blended the editing and revising processes with the first stage of the publishing process. Even though I definitely won't be doing that the second time around, it's way too hectic. I was even revising the book as close to a month before publishing it. I definitely underestimated the amount of typos and mistakes I thought I'd find upon rereading the first printed copy that I got from Kindle Publishing, which I'll get into in a second. So I kind of had to rush to fix all those mistakes, and to do this, as I was reading, I made sure to take a note of it. Then afterwards I plugged in all of the revisions. But as I said, I was kind of in the middle of publishing at the same time, so I had to plug in the revisions to 3 different files, 3 different documents. One was for Ingram Spark, using that formatting, one was for Amazon KDP, using their formatting, and one was the ebook, rather than just in my normal Word document and then bringing it back. I took the longer route of actually applying the revisions to each of these different documents. So that's something that I don't want to do again. The natural thing to discuss next, I suppose, would be actually Kindle Publishing, Amazon. This was the first account that I created. I assumed, hey, Amazon is the place to go. That's where most people buy books. I realized pretty quickly that KDP wasn't the only place. This is probably the most vital lesson that I've learned throughout the whole process of self-publishing, and it's a kink that I've had to iron until literal days before the release date on August 12th. So this part of the video is going to be essential for anyone watching who is interested in self-publishing. So to self-publish a book, you need a couple of things. You need obviously the interior of the book, which would be all of the text from the copyright page to the table of contents to every chapter all the way to the end, the acknowledgments, all that. Then you need a cover. Not only a cover, but the front cover, the back cover, and a spine. I recommend that you get these pieces separately. That way you could go into an app like InDesign or Illustrator or Photoshop, whatever you use. I recommend InDesign for this, but you can also use free alternatives like Inkscape or Scribus or GIMP. That way you can create what you'll ultimately use and upload for the paperback and the hardcover, which is a combination of all three. It looks like this. I found a great artist on Fiverr who created the cover for me. He also provided text, but I had already created my own custom text in Adobe Illustrator months before that. Let me know if you'd like a video on that, showing you how I edited the text and made it my own and created essentially a custom font like this. So after you have your materials to upload, you need a place to actually upload. As I said, I started with Amazon KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. This is a good start, but there are a couple, maybe more than a couple, key things to note, so here they are. Number one, with KDP, you are only publishing with Amazon, nowhere else. Number two, KDP grants you an ISBN number. Now, an ISBN is a tracking number for books. I won't bog you down with all the details, but every book has one. You can look on the back and see it, or on the inside where the copyright page is. And every version of a book needs one. What I mean is a paperback, hardcover, and an ebook will all have a different ISBN code. Usually authors will pay for one ISBN or a bundle of ISBNs like I did. In the US, as far as I know, there's only one place to reliably do so, and that's Bowker. Number three, now why buy an ISBN if KDP provides a free one to you? That's a great question. This is for people who, like me, aren't publishing exclusively to KDP, but to other places as well, like Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is really the go-to for me. It's free to upload to just like KDP, but it distributes to many other platforms like Amazon, like Barnes & Noble, like bookshop.org, Books A Million, a bunch of other places. Number four, you might hear, well, Ingram publishes to Amazon, so why use KDP? The key reason why I went with a combination of both is for pre-orders. Now, I'll try to make this simple because it took a lot of mess ups and a lot of tribulations to figure it all out on my end. Essentially, on Amazon KDP, you can only set up a pre-order for ebooks. I know, it makes no sense. On Ingram Spark, you can only set up a pre-order for print books like paperbacks and hardcovers. So the reason for using both might be as simple as that. If you're like me, you release an ebook and prints, you want a pre-order to be available for both, so you use Amazon for ebooks, Ingram Spark for prints, and there you go. People are able to pre-order your books from any of these sites. Number five, now there are some caveats to that. For Ingram Spark, you need your own ISBN code. I recommend purchasing a bundle of 10 or more, as it's way more bang for your buck than just purchasing one, and you're going to need more than one anyway if you're releasing multiple versions like a paperback, a hardcover, and an ebook. Number six, the thing that I didn't realize until very late, and this may or may not actually be the case, I can't actually be sure fully, is that ISBNs clash across different platforms. What I mean is that if you uploaded via Ingram Spark using your purchased ISBNs, you can't also use the same ISBN on Amazon Kindle Publishing, or else it'll interfere and it'll show up as unavailable like it did for me just days before my release date. So that was very worrying. Now, why did I even attempt publishing through KDP when I had already had my print books distributed through Ingram? Honestly, I don't know. I don't remember why I did this. I think I thought that Amazon would be more likely to push the book through their algorithm if it was uploaded through KDP. And that very well might be the case, but I just don't know. And finally, the seventh thing that you should know is that for every distribution platform, there's a different set of formatting rules. This is the most frustrating part by far, and in hindsight, it could have been easily avoided if I decided to just pick one, which I did in the end. I decided to just go with Ingram Spark for the prints, but I had several versions of the book formatted for KDP, for Ingram Spark, for Lulu, for Barnes & Noble Press, when in reality I really only needed Ingram Spark and Lulu. I'll get into Lulu a little bit later. Essentially, for the artwork, for the interiors, they require a different set of dimensions for each different distribution platform. So definitely a huge thing to keep in mind if you want to avoid a ginormous headache. So that's pretty much everything on KDP and Ingram Spark. There's also others that I mentioned, like Barnes & Noble Press, that's exclusive to Barnes & Noble. I think Ingram is the most well-rounded, though their customer support is really not the greatest, and 18 days after ordering my hardcover books, they're still not here. The paperbacks came pretty fast, within like 7 to 10 days. Alright, to recap, to publish a book you need an interior, you need an ISBN, you'll need a Library of Congress code, an LCCN. Don't worry, this is very, very easy. Just YouTube how to get an LCCN. You will need your ISBN first, which is why I mentioned it after just now. And you need a place to upload, a la KDP, Ingram Spark, etc. I recommend a mixture of both. Ebooks on KDP to get pre-order availability, and prints on Ingram Spark for the same option. There's also Lulu, which I will discuss in the next chapter. Of course, you could just stop there, but why? You want people to read your book, don't you? Here's what to do. So halfway through revising my book, I made the announcement video.
Manhattan 24 releases August 12th.
I needed a place for people to find me, to see my work, and where they also could eventually buy the book. So I made a website. Admittedly, I did not choose the best or intuitive website builder. For me, it was strictly financial, finding the cheapest one that would help me do what I needed to do, and that was Namecheap. On Namecheap, I bought a domain name, which was just my name, jacobrcologne.com. I pay monthly for hosting. It's actually very inexpensive compared to anywhere else. I think it might be the cheapest actually. And the hosting is called Stellar. With Stellar, it brings you to what's called a cPanel, which I guess is called Softaculous. Then you can get a WordPress plugin, and then you can build the website in the WordPress plugin. I know it's very overcomplicated. I'm sure you can find countless other much easier website builders, like, I don't know, Squarespace, or my cousin uses Framer, which looks pretty simple. But I won't get too much into the actual building of the website, because that's a whole other thing. But I did use tools like Perplexity or ChatGPT, AI tools to help whenever I didn't know what I was doing or there was some sort of error. I would just ask it and it would tell me, and I would be able to fix it. But yeah, after gathering images, attaching my social networks, embedding the announcement video I made onto the homepage, making pages for my book, music, comic books, and more, I had a professional website that people could go to. P.S. That little logo that you see on the browser is called a favicon. Just thought that was a neat little tidbit that I learned. Having a favicon goes a long way to having a professional looking site. Well, that and bombarding the visitors with ads. Using Optimonk, you're able to create a pop-up for new users or returning users, or every time someone clicks another page if you want to be a real jerk about it. That'll direct them to wherever you want. In my case, I was trying to build an email list. So you would enter an email and you could get 3 free chapters. In return, I'd have that person's email so that I can send out mass emails to people about upcoming events, promotions, etc. I never actually followed through with this, but it's something I'm going to work on more extensively for my future releases. The very last thing was actually uploading the book to Lulu a few days before release. Lulu, as far as I know, is the only print-on-demand company that you can integrate directly to your website. I did so using WooCommerce. So, in addition to being able to buy my book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other places, you can order it directly from my website. Technically, this meant that my book was actually available a few days before the release date, as you can't actually add the book to any website unless it's officially published on Lulu. But that was fine, since if anyone did order on my website, the shipping time would have taken long enough for my book to have been already released. But keep in mind, like all platforms, Lulu requires its own set of dimensions for the cover art and the interior, though I ended up actually using the same interior that I did on Ingram Spark for Lulu. But yeah, that combined with using Printify, which is another free site integrated with my website, I turned my shop page into a full-on, well, shop page with merchandise like shirts and bookmarks and posters, and of course the actual book. All the while I had been using another AI called Perplexity to help me whenever I ran into an issue with the website builder, and just kept everything in sort of one folder for my publishing needs and concerns, just to keep things organized and I could go back to anything if I missed something. So this last chapter is all about bringing the pieces together. The marketing on my social medias, like the stories, the short videos, all the posts, the website, the upcoming release date, and turning out a stream of content that would help market the book. I know many creatives sort of cringe at the idea of having to market themselves and to leverage social media and to make content. Believe me, I feel the exact same way, but it's crucial in this day and age. Otherwise, the likelihood of you getting your art seen is just so slim. This doesn't mean that you have to compromise. It doesn't mean that you have to just pop out this commercial slop. No, I think there's a market for unique content, unique ideas, and whatever works for you. I mean, I don't think that I've found my niche yet, especially with videography and social media content. I prefer to keep that simple, just functional, get the job done, and focus more of my hardcore creative energies on stuff that I'm actually passionate about. But it really does help if you actually enjoy the content that you create, like this video or the documentary I did. I was actually excited to make these. Now, my whole stream of content, so to speak, certainly nothing special, and if I'm being honest, was not nearly as comprehensive as it should have been. I mean, I constantly neglected TikTok, which has a humongous market, and I really only had maybe 5 bits of content. 3 major ones, like the videos in the 4 months between announcing the book and actually releasing it. But you live and you learn, and next time I'll definitely be trying to employ a much more in-depth strategy, and also using the email list that I built and the Facebook group that I made, and just going more in on the marketing. Also X, I straight up don't use it. I mean, every time I upload a beat to YouTube, I just click the share on X button, but that's really it. I just don't like it. Alright, let's see if I can recap everything into a concise list to follow. If you're thinking of publishing a book, a comic book, anything like that, here are the steps. Step 1, write the thing. Step 2, revise the thing. Make sure it's as close to perfect as possible before you actually publish it. Step 3, create or purchase art/cover materials. Fiverr is a great place to find artists. Number 4, purchase an ISBN, unless you plan on only publishing through KDP, in which case they'll give you a free one. Remember, you need different ISBN per book version, aka the hardcover, paperback, and ebook each has a different ISBN. Number 5, get an LCCN, a Library of Congress number. Number 6, upload the book to a distribution website. I recommend KDP for ebooks and Ingram Spark for prints. That way you can enable pre-orders. Number 7, start marketing. Create a website, curate your social media pages, make a YouTube channel, anything and everything you can to get the word out. Go the extra mile if you can by creating an email list or a Facebook group, network and meet other writers on Meetup or wherever you can do that. And number 8, finally, release the book. I hate to say it, but it's really only the first and the last steps that are like the fun part, but it's all part of the journey, it's all part of the process, and I think at the end of the day you'll come out more fulfilled and more satisfied having known how to do all of this stuff yourself rather than trusting somebody else to do it all for you. Even though that does sound pretty nice, that way I can just focus on the writing. Yeah. But I really learned a lot throughout this whole process, and I hope you did too. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed the video. And to all of the creatives, the artists, the writers and authors out there hoping to accomplish the same thing that I did, I wish you all the luck in the world. as long as you don't forget about me when you're famous. And yeah, this has been Jacob R. Cologne, author of Manhattan 24, out now everywhere. And I'll see you on the next one.